All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. So today, I'm going to be talking about two things. Really one thing, but the first thing is how the restaurant business has been getting reshaped over the last couple of years. In my opinion, some of the stuff that I've noticed, starting from, I did a couple videos, a lot of restaurants are being closed, a lot of chain restaurants are being closed, and then now the introduction to all this technology. And the second thing is that I wanted to talk about was, it's a question that I get asked a lot. And I don't want to tell you don't ask me that question anymore, but be ready for not having the answer that you're looking for. I'm going to give you because I got this question asked at least 5 times in the last 3 months when I meet new people. So I'll let you know when we get to that segment. But yeah, I wanted to continue talking about how the restaurant business, basically the food business, has been getting reshaped over the last couple of years. I was I was driving down one of our main streets by where I live, and I noticed a bunch of restaurants, mostly chain restaurants, but so many of them closed down. And I'm talking about driving through some of the busier streets, avenues, and just really busy streets, a lot of businesses. But restaurants, you notice that there's been a lot of them that have just disappeared in the last 3 years, at least. A lot of restaurants, and a lot of them are chain restaurants. Talking about Pizza Hut, Boston Market, another, I forget the other. I mean, some of them were not chains. I mean, Subway, they closed down over there, and a couple other ones that I just can't remember off the top of my head. But there was also some just small mom and pop restaurants over there that, some of them were not so great, I guess, and they closed down. And some of them that you think that are not so good, they're still around. So again, the restaurant business is always going to have that. Some restaurants, you're going to be like, how is this restaurant here? You give them a chance because they've been there for a long time, and you assume, okay, they must be good. You must have caught them in an off day. But if you catch a restaurant in an off day 8 times or however many times you go, it's just a bad restaurant. I mean, I've given almost every single restaurant, at least near me where I live, a second, and some of them third chances. And that's just me because I'm in the business. I understand some days you might not get the best dish. It's not really acceptable, but I understand. Sometimes, especially when a new restaurant, some of the trainings, stuff gets missed sometimes. That's one of the things that I always try to make sure. And it also depends on the size of the restaurants, the staff. There's a lot of stuff that goes into having a good night in a restaurant. And when you're opening up, you may not have all those things 100% set in place. You should, but more than likely, most people, it's just going to happen. It's not going to be perfect in the beginning. It's just not. You might get a lot of things right, but you might get some of your people or some of your customers getting a little bit of the bad stuff. So yeah, I always give them a little try. My whole point is, with that being said, you're talking about now technology being introduced very heavy in the restaurant business. Just to give you a little example, I saw this today.
Austin-based AV Ride is on the move. The company's mission is to be a leader in the world of autonomous transportation. The company started making self-driving vehicles in Russia under the name of Yandex. It's been rebranded as AV Ride, and it's now in the fast lane to not only make moves in the autonomous vehicle world, but to also revolutionize delivery robots.
Robots are mostly designed to be delivering parcels in the so-called hyper-local delivery. So inside, for example, a neighborhood, like we're doing here in Miller area.
Sheehan Sushi and Noodle is an early adopter of the robot delivery model. You may have seen the robots making deliveries throughout the Miller neighborhood for months now.
I'm telling you, this is going to be huge. I mean, it's just going to be big, just because all the costs that the restaurants are getting is just technology. I've never seen technology being introduced to restaurants so much or so heavy as in the last couple of years. And I'm talking about existing companies like POS systems, point of service system. Point of service, is that what it's? POS? No. Point of whatever. Now I lost it. I got a little brain fart here, and I can't remember. I think I have it correct, but point of service. Point of service is the last. Is that? Oh my God, I apologize. Whatever. Whatever. But those systems have also introduced more technology to make, I wouldn't say shortcuts, but to kind of help in labor. Labor is just now, labor is like the main focus mostly for restaurants right now. And it's just, if you speak to any restaurateur, that's what they will tell you. Like, the equation for running a restaurant has changed dramatically. And a lot of it has to do with the labor, the minimum wage hikes. And it's one of those things that I'm not saying is good or bad. It's just one of those things that the restaurant business has not been able to, I guess, get in line, or not even in line, or just being able to stabilize with the new changes, with what happened with the whole world shutting down and all that stuff, and inflation. You had that. A lot of things have happened to kind of make it more difficult to run a restaurant. Again, you're gonna have those restaurants, and I'm telling you, this is 100% true. And I'm gonna tell you, if you go out enough to eat, you'll know. Location is sometimes, takes that away. It takes a lot of the challenges that most restaurants have. If you have a great location, it's one of those things you may not notice the pain of other restaurants that are not in. They don't even have to be in a bad location to notice it. Sometimes you need to be in a you still could be in a good location, an okay location, but you'll start noticing those challenges of these costs. All the third-party systems that they take 30% of your profit of the food, which that's basically your profit, right? So you got to raise up the price a little bit more sometimes, because if not, you're just making food for, Grubhub and all of the third parties for they can make money, and you're not making any money. So you have that. So this right here, I can see this being a big plus and something to combat, try to get a little bit more profit for your restaurant. I talk about it a lot because I don't think people really understand. They just don't. And I kind of always know, you do the numbers and you do the averages, and it's a bad equation. Restaurants been known to be like the worst investment because of that, or the worst business to go into. The only reason people go into it is because they think it's cool, or they really have a passion for it. I had a passion for it. I'm still in the business, but some days I'll tell you, it's just very difficult especially now with the cost. Even if you're busy, the cost is so high that you got to be even more busy. As busy as some restaurants are, that you are happy that you're this busy, it's still you're still not making the margins that you should for all the work. And understand, I worked in other businesses. I worked in office. I was in the military. I did other business. The restaurant business, or let's just say the food business, but specifically the restaurant business part of the food service business, it's one of the toughest. It's more draining. It's just a lot of hours. It's a lot of stress. It's just one of the worst industries to go into. So those people that are looking to be a chef, trust me, I always tell everybody, don't do it unless if you really have a passion for it. And then even then, I'll tell you, you know what? Look into other things that you can do with food. The restaurant itself, I would recommend, if you could kind of find something else that you're still dealing with food and kind of take that passion into that. But the restaurant itself, restaurant business is just, it's too many factors, too much stress. You have not only your employees, you have the customers, which, it's hard to please every customer. Even if you're a great restaurant, you're going to have customers, because taste is kind of objective, right? So some people might like your cuisine. So you sometimes try to make your cuisine and let people know what your cuisine is. So you don't want to have those people that may not have that palate for your cuisine. But that's a whole totally different story. I'm not trying to get into it right now. All I'm talking about is that this restaurant business is just not what it used to be. So after showing you that whole thing with the damn robot delivery, I think I showed that before. But I showed you, restaurants it's almost interesting to find out where are they going to land in the next 5 years. Some people say it could be in the next 2-3 years, but I'm thinking it's going to take like another 5 years, or at least close to 5 years. I think in 5 years we'll definitely know what type of, or we have a better balance of what the restaurant business is going to look like, you know, with all of the costs. I think the restaurant business basically goes to waves, fads and all that stuff, and they go around 10 years. I think the last couple of years got basically squeezed because of what happened, but when I started in the business, which has been over 20 years now, there was stuff that I was just seeing for the first time. But in the business, I've seen it at least 3 times. Some of the same fads, maybe a little bit different. And a lot of the new people, this is the first time they seen it. But I've seen it already 3 times, or 2 times at least. So it goes in waves. And I'm talking about a lot of the stuff on TikTok, at least the stuff that makes sense. There's some really, really bad stuff on TikTok that I don't even know how many people get sick off of some of that stuff if they try to recreate some of that stuff on TikTok. And even restaurants, they try to copy some of that stuff from TikTok. Like some of that stuff is just too much. It's just too much. I know there's some stuff that I see that it's like, okay, it's popular because it's just popular. The whole thing about like, you know, making a sandwich with cheese and then you have another tray of melted cheese to pour on top. Like this shit is not like, I mean, I'm pretty sure it tastes good, but you're eating melted cheese. People seem to love melted cheese on TikTok. And I'm talking about tons of melted cheese. It has to be over exaggerated. That's what TikTok is all about. It's like, you know, I get it. The indulgence of these flavors is good. Cheese is good, but you're eating all this, you know, you're eating like a pound of cheese, melted cheese. It's just not good. It's just not good for you. There also needs to be a balance. And I think a lot of the stuff that is getting pushed is really most unhealthiest stuff, which I get it. A lot of the unhealthy stuff tastes good, but it's also like just low-hanging fruit. I always thought like the stuff that you're doing healthy that tastes good, that takes a little bit more skill, but we don't see that as much. We usually see on TikTok a lot of people, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good people. I'm not bashing everybody on TikTok. I'm not bashing anybody on TikTok. I know how it works. You put stuff on TikTok to get views. And the easiest stuff to get views is, really stuff with these high-calorie stuff that it has, those heavy flavors of the, like I always say, salt, sugar, and fat, right? Those are the sodium, sugar, and fat. So you get in sandwich, then instead of just being a regular ham and cheese, it's like we'll have like 2 slices of bread and like 2 pounds of cheese with like some whatever bacon. Like it's just like that's just kind of what I see that ends up being very popular. Now jumping to my last thing, right? So the question that I get asked a lot, and leave your comments below. Subscribe if you haven't, right? If you subscribe, you haven't. I'm just doing a little talk. I apologize. I've been busy because I work in this business, in the restaurant business, so I don't have a lot of time to do these videos as much as I want to, and I think it kind of hindered my development in this, video making process because I go through large periods of time that I can't make videos because I'm just really busy. With that being said, the question that I've been asked for like my whole career, and I'm pretty sure every single chef has. Look, if there's a chef that's watching this, please leave me, or anybody that's been in the business. I say a chef because I'm a chef, but this goes for everybody that works in the kitchen in a restaurant or in the food business. When you get asked, what is your favorite dish to cook? What do you say? And I'm going to tell you what I say. I don't know. When I was younger, I think I did know. And I'm not saying people like, oh, it's because you've learned so much. It's like, no, it's not that. It's not that complicated. It's just that I've not even learned so much. I tasted so many things, and it's not even that. I think it's a lot of the stuff I like is seasonal. So in the winter, I might like, my favorite dish might be like a braised, lamb shack with like, truffled spaghetti squash and some honey butter and stuff like that for the winter. But in the summer, it's totally different. Like it's like difficult. I'll like something summery, and that will be my summer kind of dish. Like today I had nice ceviche, and I loved it. It was this nice restaurant for my house, which I feel going back to that, talking about a bad location. I went into this restaurant, and this is now my second time, and it's been pretty empty. I go there, and I feel bad. But both times I've been there, the food has been good. Don't get me wrong, I go there in the slowest days of the week because I'm in the restaurant business, so my days off are all in the slowest days of the week. But they're in a tough location. After having my restaurant and I go out to eat, I can basically, my commute to the restaurant, I can tell you this is a tough location or this is a good location. And basically it comes down to how good the place is, service and food, and their marketing. If you're in a good location and you got a little bit of that, you should be able to make it work. But if you're in a tough location, your marketing has to be amazing. I'm just saying, it has to be amazing, and you got to spend a lot more money. You may be spending less money on your rent. You got to spend that money on marketing. You got to market heavy to get people to even know that you're in that area or that place. So I know this restaurant is one of those restaurants that is, don't get me wrong, they seem to have money. They actually seem like they're still adding on to the restaurant, but I've been there already twice. It's only twice, but both times the restaurant has been pretty empty, and I'm there and I do a whole I break down the restaurants to how many seats the restaurant has, the time that I show up, how the decor is, how the service is, the food is, everything. It's almost like a critic. I go to every restaurant and it's just something I can't help. And I go with someone else that's usually in the business too. So we we may not say nothing to the people. Sometimes we'll do if they ask. I'm honest. But between me and the other person, we break down the experience. And this place has been like, service hasn't been the best, but it definitely hasn't been the worst. It's been pretty fair. You just the first time you could tell the server was a little bit unexperienced. Today, it's a little bit different. The server was not, I don't know. It's just, the server you can tell he had more experience, but when he was there, he was good, but there was times that you need it and he was just nowhere to be found. So it was kind of weird. At the same time, it was so slow that I think the person is probably doing multiple jobs, and I get it. Bad location. But getting back to this question, I really, really, really don't have a good answer. Like I said, that's why I feel like it's seasonal for me, and that's the way I cook. I cook seasonally. So during the summer times, I thinking of summer dishes. I'm thinking of this cool dishes, right? And in the winter time, I'm thinking of warm, warm dishes, heavier dishes, dishes like bordering on comfort food, but stuff that is just, if you were to come in from the cold, you would enjoy this meal. But that's just me. I'm pretty sure maybe all the other chefs or the cooks, they'll have the answer right away. I just don't have the answer anymore. I stopped thinking about that question. Even though I get asked for it all the time, I think and I just answer the question. I really don't have, that is my answer. I don't have a favorite dish. I have favorite foods and stuff like that, but no favorite dish anymore. With that being said, leave your comments below. And for those that have been in the business for a while, let me know your experiences. Let me know what you think about the future, and especially if you made it this far, because this is a little bit longer than my usual videos. But if you made it this far, definitely let me know. What do you think about the damn restaurant business? What's the change it's going to be in the 5 years? What's going to be one of the big things that you're going to notice that is different from that we're seeing right now? In 5 years, you might not see, or if you do see it, how is it going to be changed? Let me know what you think. Peace, later.